Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there tonight and having yourselves a great ending to your day, a great weekend so far. Got you an update on what's going to happen really over the next, I would say, several days. We're not going to get super detailed with really anything in particular, but the beginning part of this video, we'll talk about temperatures over the next couple days because of course, I know we got, some gardeners in here. We got some people who just are ready to plant some flowers. So we're going to talk about how the next, I would say 2 to 3, maybe as much as 4 nights is going to be quite cold across areas of really the eastern U.S., especially the south. So we'll talk about that. But then we'll talk about the good news. I think most people would view it as good news. And that is that we have a huge warm up, really, for, I would say, the middle part and second half of this coming week into next weekend. I'm talking about some areas can get into the upper 80s outside of Florida. So the spring warmth is returning, and we'll talk about that in this video. Then towards the end, we'll talk about the fact that we're going to have a kind of multi-piece of energy kind of event that's going to fly across the middle of the country. No real piece of energy looks stronger than the next, except there's one piece of energy that I really think is going to spark a severe weather threat. But trying to figure out which day is going to be worse. Is it going to be Thursday? Is it going to be Friday? Is it going to linger into the weekend? We still don't know. In fact, I thought about not even making a video tonight just because, there's lack of information on that. But the fact that we do have some really cold nights ahead and then really warm times ahead after that, I feel like, we need to talk about this a little bit. So that's what we'll do. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way. If you ever consider joining the channel, guys, have 25 to 27 incredible members that have joined my channel. When things get slow, you guys joining my channel, it means the world. I don't have any perks to offer, anything, cool to give you guys. That is the plan for the future, but I just haven't quite got there yet. And, but I appreciate people who just support my channel unconditionally, and it really means the world in that way. And of course, I appreciate everybody who makes these videos part of their daily routine. Certainly always want to say that also, but if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, as always, please put in the comments below. Please don't stop doing that because I pray over every single one of them, and I promise you other people are doing it also. And it's always cool to, well, it's not cool to obviously know that bad things are happening, but it's great to see when people ask for prayer for a certain situation, and then they come back, a day or maybe a few weeks later and say, hey, good news, God is good, things worked out. And so forth. So it's always great to see prayer. Always like to mention, sometimes when things are just going great, sometimes I just got to stop, look up, and thank God. A lot of people come to God when things are going bad, and that's good too. That's great. But sometimes when things are just, you stop and think for a minute, like, dang, nothing bad's happened for a while. Things are going good. I'm truly blessed. That's, stop and thank him then too. I certainly try to do that. But with that being said, almost 3.5 minutes in, let's get going. So let's talk about temperatures. Bad hair day. That's why I got the hat on. My hair is everywhere right now. So I know you guys don't care about that. But temperatures tomorrow morning, low temperatures, guys. I mean, you're basically below freezing for low temperatures from, I guess, the deep south points north, nearly everybody. If you're not below freezing, you're in the 30s. The only area that's really saved is if you're hugging the immediate Gulf Coast area. But I mean, even those areas will probably get into the upper 30s. And then Miami, basically, southern tip of Florida where the front is not cleared. Low temperatures are in the upper 60s. Must be nice. But I don't think I'm quite ready for low temperatures only in around 70 degrees. I'll tell you that. Because we'll get about 3 or 4 or 5 months of that here in Columbia, South Carolina, here in the near future. So. But listen, I mean, look at these. They're teens, single digits up into Iowa, but teens for the Ohio Valley, Midwest, even colder than that in the Midwest, 20s, deep into the 20s. So a really hard freeze tonight. I've even seen Facebook friends planning. Not sure why. Just, that you just always got to hold off till April, guys. But Monday, very cold also. It loses its punch somewhat, but, the core of the cold air mass really begins to shift further east and northeast, and this is when areas will have a better chance to get well below freezing along the mid-Atlantic and southeast, but still very cold. I mean, look at these mid-20s showing up around Birmingham, down to Jackson, teens in Tennessee. Pretty wild to see. And then we get into Tuesday morning. I think there will be one really last cold morning. where you'll have widespread sub-freezing temperatures across the eastern U.S. But after that, you get into Wednesday morning, and it starts to warm up a good bit. 30s, 40s become less widespread. I mean, lows are only in the 40s in the Ohio Valley, the Mid-South. So things start to certainly improve big time. So one thing I want to mention is that we're going to flip to a much warmer pattern. For example, for a lot of people in the eastern U.S., I mean, you will be hating it, especially if you're a cold weather fan. But there'll just be an abrupt shift as basically troughing is quickly replaced by ridging. You'll see it here. The blue is troughing, more of a cold air mass, cold front in general, high pressure in place. And then we start to get into Tuesday evening. Bang, you see the more warmer colors, the higher heights, which is in the orange, red colors you see right in here. That is ridging that quickly builds and gets very strong right over the eastern U.S. and the south. And by the time we're on Wednesday, we're warming up dramatically. Troughing sets up out west. We got that negative PNA setting up again, with troughing out west, ridging out east. And warm temperatures begin to dominate. Maybe some record high temperature for certain areas. But it's going to be very warm Thursday, I think, and very warm Friday. Okay, and we'll see what happens after that. It's a big question mark. But temperatures, let's talk about the central U.S. Look at this. You're starting to warm up Monday, 60s, getting all the way up into southern Nebraska. But then you get into Tuesday, look at this warm air, 70s all the way up into Kansas. It's much warmer. All this snow that's been falling here deep in southwest Texas, which I've seen a lot of it. And one town in Texas, I think it started with an A, like Applin or something. Looked like they got over 6 inches of snow, just a lot of snow. It starts to warm up. And then we get into Wednesday, widespread 80s begin to enter the picture here in Texas, 70s and 80s in Oklahoma. Look for areas in Louisiana, Arkansas. Spring is returning. You get into Thursday, same kind of deal. You start to get low 90s showing up here deep into Texas. And yeah, very warm day. And then a cold front begins to kind of switch the atmosphere. It begins to cool back down a little bit. For my folks in the eastern U.S., same kind of deal. We'll back it up. Monday, for Monday, it'll be another chilly day. Tuesday warms up widespread, another 10 to 15 degrees for certain areas. 60s return, and then 70s return. It's like you're going up 10 degrees for a high temperature each day for certain areas. Then you get into Thursday. Look at these 80s. I mean, it starts to get downright warm for certain areas in the south. Then you get into Friday, man. Look at this. Maybe somebody sneaks in a 90 degrees somewhere along the I-95 corridor from Fayetteville all the way deep down in Georgia, and certainly in Florida you'll hit it. And then you'll start to see some kind of cold front that might get really close, cool it back down for the weekend, but still looks nice. This could change a little bit. Talk about the storm chances. For Thursday, we talked about this morning. There's a 15% risk of severe weather for Thursday, but this could get tweaked. Either way, we don't know what time of the day Thursday it's going to be. We don't know if this is going to get pushed more so to Friday. And the reason I keep saying that is because there's really some differences on when this low pressure is going to fly to the north. We look at the GFS and kind of talk about what I mean here. We get into Sunday, we get into Monday, not a whole lot going on. Tuesday, this is when our first little low pressure flies across, out of eastern Colorado into the central plains. This is probably going to bring a little bit of a moisture return down here. Dew points will rise. This will bring some snow to the north of the low pressure, but it's barely even picking up on this low pressure because it's so weak. But this will bring some rain for areas of, this will probably keep temperatures down due to this rain here in areas in the Mississippi Valley up to the Midwest. Snow is possible far northern sections of the north central U.S. This moves through, then another system moves through, and this is the one that could spark maybe some severe weather. But this is a big question here. A little bit of snow showing up here somewhere in northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, but pinpointing this is going to be difficult. It really is. That piece of energy flies through, and then another piece of energy. And what I'm thinking is going to happen here is you're going to have a stalled boundary that is not necessarily going to be stalled in one spot, but it's going to be moving very slowly southeast. So you're going to have multiple impulses of energy that's going to fly across this boundary. So, you stop this for late Thursday night, Friday morning, and you got some heavy rain showing up. This could be in the form of severe weather, like an overnight severe weather threat for somebody in the Mid-South, South Central U.S. We're just not quite sure Friday morning looks like a lot of heavy rain, potentially a big heavy rainmaker somewhere in Kentucky. Trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be difficult, but this eventually tries to make for another wet start to your weekend across areas of the southeast. So we got to see what's going to happen with this, but then we get pretty far out, and then past 7 days, a stronger system shows up as we're getting like next Sunday. So this looks like a more powerful system, but then again, we don't know what's going to happen this far out. You look at the European on what's it showing, and same kind of deal. It shows one piece of energy right here. It doesn't show snow. It shows another piece of energy right there, and then it shows kind of rejuvenation right here of a more active jet that sets up right into here. This could promote a severe weather threat. This could promote a flooding threat somewhere in this area. But we got to figure out where. But the Euro has this becoming a pretty strong low pressure, and this would lead me to believe that maybe you have some severe weather to the south. It's a sub 990 millibar low pressure. This is probably snow falling behind it. I didn't pull the European up, so I do apologize. But behind this 540 line, this is probably snow falling. The Euro is a much stronger system. Obviously, just more widespread precipitation everywhere. So I think we'll dive a little bit deeper into this tomorrow if we can get some models to get in some agreement. But certainly need to watch for a European scenario, because this will be much more of a high impact event for sure. It really would. In fact, we can do this on the fly here really quick and look at the European on what it's showing, because I know a lot of people are like, well, Mitch, that's just showing me rain for everybody. And so let's see what this looks like, and we'll fly through this. And here it comes right into here. Just in general, this would bring some snow into Chicago Friday night. Just a stronger low pressure. This would probably bring some severe weather to the south, and certainly just a cutter kind of events would bring some inland northeast snow. So we'll watch this. But one thing I can tell you, with these multiple kind of impulses of energy, you're going to have a moisture return, meaning these are dew points, not temperatures. Once dew points get into the 60s, we know that is certainly supportive for severe weather, thermodynamic that is needed. And here it goes. Here comes a pulse north. We're getting into Thursday morning. You're getting a massive moist sector building all the way up into the Midwest. And this is some deep moisture also. We'll stop this, Thursday afternoon, right when they think there's going to be potentially for a severe weather event. There is some deep moisture all the way up into Illinois and Indiana. So we got to watch this. This is a pretty stout warm sector, even some moist air into the southern Appalachian Mountains. And then we watch as this kind of begins to collapse. But how much does it collapse? It keeps some pretty moist air pretty far south. So it's just getting to that time of the year where cold fronts struggle a little bit more and more to really clear all the way to the Gulf Coast. And therefore, the severe weather chances begin to increase as we get deeper into March and then into April, which can be a very active month. But I can tell you the kinematics, we're going to be there, certainly. Got a decent mid-level jet flying through right here, pushing, certainly 80 to 90 knots. So there's going to be some wind energy flying around, of course, with any kind of ejecting low pressure across the plains. So we watch this. We watch the storm track right into here in general, and we just need to watch for severe weather. As far as snow, between now and the next 10 days, on the northern side, these low pressures are going to have chances of snow. So this is not an exact forecast, but if you're basically in the northern plains, north central U.S., upper Midwest, you're still going to have chances of snow with these pieces of energy. We just don't know how much. But that's all I got, guys. Try to get a little bit more detailed tomorrow. We'll get a little bit more detailed as we get a little bit closer. But the details are just kind of rusty right now. So God bless all y'all. Have a great night, and I'll be with you in the morning.